Hello everybody, happy Sunday. Thank you for being here. Appreciate all of you that show up in any capacity that you can, as always. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I see Nikita in the comments right away. Hey, how you doing? And hi to everybody else that's here. If you want to leave a comment and say hi or what's going on, things like that, you can, but you don't have to either. Either is totally fine. That is what I like about this space and doing this virtually, is that we can all come together and we can do something in unison, but you can tailor it completely to the way that you want to. So if we were in person and people were talking, you may feel inclined to do so. And maybe maybe you wouldn't normally want to do that or something like that. So yeah, you can just do whatever works for you, and that goes with the entire practice and the entire session. Take what works for you, leave the rest. Like when I show the astrology chart, I always say, like, if it's overwhelming, if it's like overstimulating and feels like too much to look at it, then just look away, look at something else, just listen, or whatever works for you. Just like the intention, I've said that lots of times. You can change the intention, alter it, add words, take words away, change it from a sentence to a question, whatever works for you. And this week we have Mercury going retrograde, we have Jupiter going retrograde, so needing to change, needing to alter things, totally within the realm for this week. So let's go ahead and get the intention up here. There is an invitation of reconsideration. There is an invitation of reconsideration. I do want to say that with this intention, with adding the word invitation in there, I was considering changing like the phrase weekly intention, or like the intention post or whatever, like changing the phrase from weekly intention to maybe weekly invitation, because really that's what the astrology does, right? It gives us an invitation to contemplate on the things that are around us, right? These energies are around us and they are mirroring what is going on within our lives. So if the planets and the archetypes that are coming around us, whether they are energies that are physically causing things or not, I don't necessarily think they are causing. I think they are symbolically representing what is going on around us, and that's why it plays out in such a wide multiplicity of different ways. You can play out psychologically, it can play out physically in your life, it can play out in your career, in your public life, personal life, relationships, within money, finances, any realm of life. And that is specific to you and to your own chart, right? So if it can play out in all these different ways, then there must be a symbolic or a metaphorical reasoning for it, or explanation, or picture that is being painted, right? Rather than something that is causal. That's more like if it rains and you're outside, it gets wet. That's like we would say, if Mars comes around, something is going to be removed. Well, it could, but it's not just as simple as like it rains, you get wet, right? Or you're in the sun too long, you get a sunburn. Even that one is like a little bit more specific to each person, because like some people burn, some people don't. So that might be a little bit more up the alley. But yeah, the word invitation here, I really like that, because we are invited to come to a space, especially here in this meditation, to sit with the energies, to have conversations with the archetypes, have conversations with the planets, and see where the invitation is within our own personal life. Look at the broad spectrum and then think, where is this playing out in my life? Where do I see this? Where can I consider what is going on? And this week we are reconsidering. Like I said, we have retrogrades. If you have watched the weekly video, last week's was like over 40 minutes, and this one was like, what, 15 minutes? It was way quicker. There was so much going on last week, so hopefully everybody had a good week. That Taurus full moon with Mars-Uranus opposition, and then Venus moving into Scorpio, and then the square to Pluto right off the bat there. There was a lot going on, so yeah, hopefully good days for everybody. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into what's going on this week. I'm looking in the comments. Hey Melissa, happy Sunday. Glad to see you here. Feeling good, got a lot done this weekend. Yeah, good productive energy here going on. That's always good to see. Okay, let's get into the chart here. I'm going to go ahead and put it up, and like I said a couple minutes ago, if looking at the chart is overwhelming, look away. I do think if we look at it in bite-sized pieces and small amounts, you just start to get used to the symbols, you start to get used to the placements, maybe you start to used to how the planets move as you see me rotating the wheel. It's another level of creating the conversation, creating the relationship with the astrology, with the planets, with the transits here, right? Looking at it and visually seeing it. So if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, take what works and leave the rest here. So we are focusing on just a couple things this week. Let's bring our attention to the sign of Sagittarius in this chart. This is the chart of the moment for right now, specific to my location. So we're not looking at house placements here. Other than just to identify where the planets are, we're looking at the placements within the signs and the degrees and the aspects that the planets are making here. So if we bring our attention to the sign of Sagittarius, which is in the 6th house on this chart, if you find the numbers in the center and you find the number 6, that is the 6th house, and that is the sign of Sagittarius there. We see we have Mars at 3 degrees and we have Mercury at 6 degrees. That Mercury is stationing. It is getting ready to go retrograde. We will be fully retrograde through the day tomorrow. And you can see that it's stationing by that little red S that is closer to the inner circle there. So first thing we have going on this week is Mercury is stationing to go retrograde. Its retrograde is going to bring it back into the sign of Scorpio. Before it does that, it's going to conjoin Mars at 6 degrees, the degree that it's stationing to go retrograde. At this time, so this is Wednesday, at this time, we have Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. You can find that in the 1st house in this chart, retrograde. So Jupiter is also stationing to go retrograde at the beginning of this week. If I back it up here just a little bit to Tuesday, you'll see that red S for stationing next to Jupiter. And then by Wednesday, when these two planets are coming together, Jupiter, which is the ruler of Mercury's retrograde, as well as the conjunction of Mercury and Mars in the sign of Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is Jupiter's sign. So we have Mercury going retrograde, but we also have the ruler of the retrograde going retrograde just a couple days after that. Really, these are our aspects that we have for this week. Huge different tone than what we had last week. And then if we go ahead and just move this forward, we're just going forward into a couple weeks. These are things that we're going to be talking about in the future. We see Mercury moves back into the sign of Scorpio here around November 19th. And then it's going to come into a conjunction with the Sun, as it always does within its retrograde period. This is called the Mercury Cazimi point. But at the same time that we have the Mercury Cazimi, we also have a new moon coming up. We'll be talking about this in a couple weeks here, November 20th, Thursday. So not only does this Mercury retrograde bring us back into the sign of Scorpio, where the Mercury and Mars conjunction was for the Mercury Cazimi, we also have a new moon here. So that all I want to say with that is that this Mercury retrograde has some serious new beginnings that it's working towards, okay? It has some history behind it because of what is going on with Mars and Mercury. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But there is a huge potential within this retrograde for a new start, for something, for a new beginning, for something that is ready to move on to the next level. There is huge restart energy, recalibration, and maybe reinitiation and some sort of reconsideration within this retrograde process. So this one feels really, really cool. If we continue to go forward, so Mercury is going to make the conjunction with Mars, it's going to have its Cazimi with the Sun, and then it's also going to make a conjunction with Venus at the end. So I think that is interesting right there. I think it's interesting that Mercury is starting its retrograde with a conjunction with Mars, and then it's going to end its retrograde with a conjunction with Venus. It is talking with Jupiter within the whole process, and then its reset moment, that Mercury cazimi, where the Mercury and the Sun come into contact and come into union, come into conjunction. That's always a reset moment for the Mercury retrograde process, but it comes at the time of the new moon. So that reset has the history of Mercury's retrograde, but it also is seeding something that is going to take us into the next lunar cycle. So backing up just to this week, what we have, right? We have Mercury going retrograde, we have Jupiter going retrograde, and then we have Mercury and Mars coming together in Sagittarius at 6 degrees. Mercury and Mars came together in the sign of Scorpio, where Mars was within its domicile, its home ruler, so Mars was really, really comfortable there. And we talked a lot about how Mars and Mercury can move really, really fast. There is a lot of determination, there is a lot of precision, there is mental clarity, there is mental swiftness, there is the ability and the agility to move quickly, to think quickly, to act. And in Scorpio, it's digging down. We're looking into the small little details. We're looking into the nooks and crannies. Things could have came up, right? This was the end of October that we had this coming through here. So Mercury and Mars coming together in Scorpio really was digging down and really looking into the nooks and crannies and pulling out details. Maybe it pulled out things that have been hidden, things that had previously been unseen, things that maybe we were looking to stay away from. Maybe there's shadows in there somewhere, right? Maybe people were keeping things or hiding things, or we found our own subconscious programmings that we needed to release or something like that, right? There could have been a lot of feeling, a lot of emotion. It's a water sign. A lot of receiving, a lot of receptivity. It's a feminine water sign. A feminine sign of Mars, feminine water sign of Mars. So there's a lot of receptivity, there's a lot of emotion, and a lot of intuitive connection, a lot of this feels right, or this does not feel right, or I want to move towards something that feels right. Now these two planets are coming together in Jupiter's sign, in the sign of Sagittarius. So it's not, there is still the focus, there is still the determination, there is still the precision, there is still the want to move quickly and to be able to move kind of swiftly with that agility. But it's within Jupiter's sign now. So instead of Mars, where we're moving out of determination and out of action and ambition, and maybe out of some sort of emotional ambition or drive, we're moving from a place of Jupiter. So we're initiated for knowledge, we're looking for information, we're looking for understandings, we're looking to broaden our horizon. So Scorpio really, really digs down, where Jupiter looks up. The sign of Sagittarius looks all around, more for a panoramic view. So maybe we're still wanting to dial in, and there's still wanting that precision of really, really understanding things, but we're looking more at the whole picture. Or maybe there's a little bit more of a optimistic, a driven type of way to move forward out of excitement, or out of wanting to experience something, looking for the experience, looking for the adventure, right? It's a mutable sign, where Scorpio is a fixed sign, so it's a little bit harder to move in the sign of Scorpio. Even if it's Mercury and Mars, we still might move, but how far are we really moving? Are we just kind of spinning around in the water, right? Where Jupiter wants to go. Jupiter wants to run off into the field and explore whatever is on the other side of the mountain, right? So these two planets are coming together, but if they brought up something a little bit deep, if they stirred up some emotions that I thought those were gone, I thought I dealt with those, I thought, this situation was going to be a little bit different. Now that they're coming together in the sign of Sagittarius, where we're looking back and we're starting the retrograde process, so we're starting to reconsider and starting to reconfigure. What knowledge, what information, what wisdom piece, what other perspective has come forward for you since Mercury has been in the sign of Sagittarius? here through this first part of November, right? What have you learned? What have you gained? So now as you start to go back and you start to retrace your steps and you start to revisit some of these things, we're going to move back through that grand water trine as Mercury moves back into the sign of Scorpio. It moves back into that conjunction with Mars, and it's moving back over these degrees that it already has went across. What can you bring forward into this revisiting that you have gained from the sign of Sagittarius? Is it a perspective? Is it different experiences? Is it a recharge? Is it Jupiter coming forward and saying, hey, you can move forward with whatever the process is. You can stand tall, right? Is it a little bit of a pep talk from Jupiter? Jupiter doesn't always bring us sunshines and roses, but it brings us an understanding. It brings us clarity, right? And clarity does not always necessarily mean easy, but it means that you can see a pathway. Since we're moving back into the sign of Scorpio, we might need to go back into the tunnels a little bit. We might need to go back down that dark road a little bit to experience things or to, revisit them, see them from a different perspective in a different way. But we have this invitation of reconsidering this week. Okay, and Jupiter is going retrograde too. So Jupiter is prompting us to possibly look inward for the answers, right? Look for a different perspective. Maybe reconsider some sort of support that we have from the Cancer aspects in our chart, right? Look at what houses Cancer falls in within your own chart. And then think about the significations of Cancer, right? Cancer represents our personal space and personal emotional safety. It represents the origins and the places that we've come from. So is there ancestral support there? Is there something from your own personal history that can come through and can help you in some sort of way? Is there some sort of loose ends that needs to be tied up when it comes to the Cancer type things? We're looking at our own personal history, from events and emotions and experiences to our subconscious memory body, the things that we hold, the programmings, the conditionings, to the history of our greater ancestry and where we have come from generationally, right? So you can be reaching into those other generations and, is there something that's coming forward? Is there some sort of support that you didn't necessarily know was there? Is there another level of emotional safety that you can bring forward here? Slowing down. I think slowing down is a big thing with this retrograde, and I feel like that is indicated a little bit with, I know it's all cycles and the way it falls and all of that type of stuff, but like last week was so busy. There was so many different aspects and so many powerful aspects. This retrograde process, with the conjunction to Mars and Mercury coming just on the heels of Mercury moving into its retrograde position and being at that same degree still, where it changes from direct to retrograde, feels like Mercury and Mars has a lot to do with this retrograde process, right? And when Mercury and Mars came through together in the sign of Scorpio, you might have even missed it. It might have been so fast that you might not have even seen what happened, or it through like a flash and you felt it, and it was definitely there, but it was kind of like, holy shit, what was that? And you didn't, it just passed so quickly, and maybe it was powerful and it was strong and it was even life-changing, but there wasn't even enough time to process it as it was happening because Mercury and Mars can move so quickly. So now this retrograde process, Jupiter maybe being from the sign of Cancer, maybe being that grandmotherly type energy of saying, slow down, child. Take the time to consider what you have learned. What have you gained from whatever's been going on in the last few weeks here, right? What have you gained from it? What kind of perspectives, what kind of knowledge and information? Is there some sort of understanding that has come through here for you? Now take that with you as you slowly make your way back. You know, maybe Mercury and Mars want to move quickly here, but Mercury is retrograde, so it's moving a little bit slower. So that invitation to slow down. It's in a fire sign, so you may have to kind of put the brakes on consciously yourself, but slow down here a little bit, right? So an invitation to reconsider a lot of what we've been trying to process, and slow down, give yourself the time, give yourself time to process what has been going on, because I think a lot of us have been probably moving pretty quickly in different directions even. So that's really what I have as far as the astrology goes for this week. You know, these water trines that have been going through here through the water signs at the later degrees here. You know, we have Saturn at 25 Pisces, we have Neptune at 29 Pisces, we have Jupiter, we were just talking about, at 24 degrees of Cancer. So these planets, as they're moving across those last 10 degrees of Scorpio, you know, there's a lot, there's a release, there's a flood of water, right? Connections and emotions and, you know, different memory bodies and things coming up. And it's not to say that things are like inherently good or bad, or like have been one way or the other, but it's just a lot. It's just a lot coming through at one time. So even if what a lot has been going on is like really, really good subjectively, you know, it's still good to slow down, take time to process. And these retrogrades coming together feel like they are doing that for us. Mercury's retrograde will be through the end of the month. You know, the slower planets like Jupiter, they are retrograde for a lot longer. So that retrograde is going to take us through March 12th. And I think it's interesting to note that when Jupiter will station to go direct, both Mars and Mercury will be in the sign of Pisces, which is Jupiter's other sign. So there's another play here with Mars and Mercury within Jupiter's retrograde cycle that we have going on here, right? So Jupiter's greater retrograde cycle might have more to do with the mental spheres, right? And the questions and the different tools and the different resources that come our way within that Cancer house. So that's something bigger to consider to get us through these winter months here. So yeah, that's what I have as far as the astrology of this week here. I'm just taking a look at the comments here. Yeah, have to go back in order to move forward. So yeah, the arrow, like of the centaur, of the archer, right, for the sign of Sagittarius, you have to pull that arch back before it can fly forward. And with precision too, right? There has to be aim, right? So yeah, I really like that. Thank you for adding that in there. And then, you know, let's see, the card that came up today when I was pulling, I'm using my Nightmare Before Christmas deck. I've been using this for a while. It's the Four of Needles, which is the Four of Swords. They just play off the suits a little bit. And it was in reverse position. It popped up awfully quick. And the Four of Swords talks about rest. It talks about, you know, the four talks about being within its own right, is a place in between. The Three is a place of celebration and connection and things coming together. The Five is a place of conflict, a place of struggle, and a place of a lot of things going on at one time. So in between there, we have a place of stability, we have a place of things coming together, we have a place of unity, but we also have a little bit of a place of holding still, a place of rest, a place of pause or a breath before we move forward. So if you think about the process of the One, of things starting and initiating, the Two, things coming together and starting to unify, the Three is where all parts start to come together and start to work cohesively together, and they start to communicate and start to intermingle and start to work together and start to make a solid form. And then the Four, we have stability. We have, maybe we can look at what we've built for just a second, because if we're building a table, all 4 legs are on there. We don't have to hold the table up anymore because just 1 or 2 are on there, right? Kind of like that. And then the 5 can be a little bit of struggle. So it's not to say that a struggle is coming, although we're moving back into the sign of Scorpio, so it could be that we're stepping back into a little bit of an uncomfortable space for some of us. So slowing down, right? Slowing down and resting, allowing yourself to breathe, allowing yourself to go back and to revisit. This card, especially in the reverse position, feels like a great one when we're talking about retrogrades, because our retrogrades slow us down. They give us time to go inward. They give us time to reconfigure and to recalibrate and see what the changes are that need to be made, right? Kind of like that. So, yeah, cool things coming through here this week, and we're going to get ready to move into our meditation here. Okay, I'll leave the intention up for just another minute or two. There is an invitation of reconsideration. There is an invitation of reconsideration. And reconsidering the path that you have been on for the last month or so. It could be a bigger path, it can be a greater path, but really considering the events that have happened through October, right? And what you have brought forth into this first part of November. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take the intention off the screen. Intentions are always released Friday, so that way you can see them ahead of time too. I don't think I said that in the beginning. We have our intentional candle. It's white as always. They have white sage oil in them for as long as I could find them, because it's getting harder and harder to find them these days. Purity, cleansing, a space to set your own intentions and to amplify them outward, right? I want this to be a clean slate where you can come in, initiate conversations with the planets, initiate conversations with the gods and with the archetypes that they represent, and see what they have to offer. Where is the personal invitation for you, and where do you see that playing out? What can you consider? What events are playing out in your lives where you can see this being illustrated within the sky? All right, so I'm going to light the intentional candle, and as I do so, I'm going to recite the phrase, and I encourage you to go ahead and say it with me in any capacity that you can, out loud, writing it down, saying it in your head, whatever works for you. So, there is an invitation of reconsideration. Light the intentional candle. As I light the candle, the flame ignites. As the flame ignites, it begins to grow. As the flame grows, so does our intention. There is an invitation of reconsideration. There is an invitation of reconsideration. All right, if you haven't already, find yourself in a comfortable position, seated, laying down, whatever works for you, for where you are. And if you're ready to do so, you may go ahead and close your eyes. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, that's okay. If you don't get there, that is okay. Perhaps you can soften your gaze, allow your eyes just to kind of rest wherever they fall. Perhaps they fall just kind of beyond the point of your nose, and find something to look towards but not gaze so intently on. Perhaps in time, your eyes begin to relax and to get heavy, and perhaps they close whenever they are ready to close. If that moment doesn't come tonight, that's okay. Slowly, we come to a restful position and turn our attention inward. As we turn our attention inward, the focus naturally comes to our breath. You start to notice the inhales and the exhales. You start to notice how the air moves in and out of your lungs. Perhaps you feel a pull to start to change or alter your breath. Perhaps you feel called to improve your breath in some way. I'm going to encourage you to take just a moment to sit with your breath in the form that it comes to you. Do your best to attempt to make no changes or alterations. Don't slow down or speed up your breath. There's no need to change the amount of air that comes in or goes out. Instead, I simply invite you to sit with your breath as it enters your body. If this feels uncomfortable, stick with it the best that you can, and just know that we will step into deepening the breath here shortly. For now, attempt to simply observe the breath as it moves in and out of your being. Notice what your breath is telling you about the current state of your being, of your energy, of your physical health. Notice what you notice and observe. Your breath at this moment is a result of compilation of everything that has brought you up into this moment. The experiences, the thoughts, the emotions, the interactions of the last hour, of the last days, weeks, months, years, and of your entire life has brought you to this moment. If your breath is a result of everything that has come before now, and you can sit with your breath without changing or altering, without feeling a need or desire to improve in any way. You find yourself in a space of honoring not only your breath, but also the path that has brought you up to this moment. And oh, what a path it has been. Today we are focusing on honoring a path and a process, a journey that Mercury is taking us on. To me, it only makes sense that we honor the journey of our life. Your attention begins to drift. Simply bring it back. Whether you have to bring your attention back once, twice, or 10 times. A gentle nudge as often as needed. After you've taken a moment to sit with your breath, honoring and acknowledging where you are, honoring and acknowledging your own individual path and process, I invite you to begin to deepen the breath. Deepening the inhale and the exhale. Through this, I encourage you to set just one goal. Allow your goal to be simply that each inhale will bring in slightly more air, slightly more energy, and be slightly more fulfilling than the breath that came before it. Similarly, on the exhale, allow your only goal here to be that each breath releases slightly more air, slightly more energy, and leaves you feeling slightly more relaxed than the exhale that came before that one. Continuing through the breath, climbing the inhale, sliding down the exhale in your own time, at your own pace. Remember, this is a personal meditation. Tailor it to what works for you. This week, we see a key turning point in Mercury's journey. Mercury, Hermes, the messenger god, the one who brings us tools, resources, the one who communicates, the one who processes, the one who reaches into our mental realm, into our perceptions, into our thoughts and our opinions, into our words and the way that we express, the way that we handle the information that comes into our sphere and into our being. The one who asks questions, the one who says why, the one who says where and when, the one who considers two different things possibly being true at one time. The one who considers opposites and wonders how they may coexist together. Mercury begins to move back in the sign of Sagittarius. the place of Jupiter. What knowledge, wisdom, and experiences have you collected? How do they impact your mental sphere? What beliefs, convictions, knowledge have you gained from your recent experiences? What has come into your awareness? Is there something hiding that you thought had already been resolved? Is there a space you've been cleaning and you found another little corner of stones to take care of? Is there some understanding you've uncovered? Mercury, who moves quickly and swiftly, especially when traveling with Mars, is given an invitation to slow down, to reconsider, to recalibrate, to reconfigure. There's something that was missed, something that still needs to be resolved, something that can still benefit from a little more attention. Perhaps you've already made good progress. Perhaps you've been working efficiently and diligently, noticing the details, not forgetting anything. But perhaps that's the moment in the space of overwhelm. Perhaps the digging down within Scorpio becomes a little bit obsessive or a little compulsive. Perhaps we've been working hard and we really just have earned a moment of rest and understanding and clarity of everything that we've done. The ability to sit back and see the work, see the progress. The path that Mercury is on is not a straight path. Perhaps it's a little bit windy. Perhaps it moves one direction and then ventures back before moving forward again in a zigzag type motion. Perhaps there are forks in the road and you need to decide if you're going to go left or you're going to go right. Perhaps you find yourselves at different points in the journey that feels like you are in the same space you were, but there's something that's slightly different, a different perspective, a planet that's in a different space, something within the environment that has moved slightly. As Mercury moves back to spaces it's already been, Mars has moved along. The moon will be in different signs in a different house within our chart. Similar, yet different. So I ask once more, what have you gained? What is the insight? What is the clarity? What is the message that has been coming through repeatedly? Are you listening to it? Are you accepting of it? If not, why? Where is the resistance? The retrograde begins with a conjunction with Mars. It may begin with feeling like we're pushing up against a brick wall, or there's a lot of work to be done, or tall tasks, or maybe we feel like we're not quite strong enough. Perhaps we are asserting ourselves, but trying to find the balance of asserting or overbearing. Multitude of possibilities. But that retrograde ends with a conjunction with Venus. So if it starts out a little difficult, if it starts out a little brash, if it starts out with a cutting or a severing of some kind, Mars is not afraid to let go. Perhaps it can end with a deep felt empowering unity. Mercury, Venus, and Scorpio. As you continue to move through the inhales and the exhales, riding through the journey with your breath, through the respiration process, picture the inhales and the exhales winding you down the path in different directions. Perhaps as you inhale, the path curves to the left. Perhaps as you exhale, it curves to the right. Perhaps it moves in a slightly different fashion. It is retrograde. This week, as Mercury and Jupiter station and turn towards a retrograde motion, we are given a moment to reconsider, an invitation to reconsider, to re-strategize, and to reflect. Reflect on what October has brought forth. Reflect on what the beginning of November has taught you and shown you. as you journey through the breath, as you contemplate the astrology of the week, your life begins to come into focus. You start to consider the current events of your life. You start to consider the things that have been playing out within your mind. Perhaps you begin to consider the house topics of Scorpio and Sagittarius in your own birth chart, if you have that in your wheelhouse. Perhaps you consider where Cancer is. That's a space where emotional security and safety is oh so important. The space which we've come from. Perhaps there is something to remember within that space as well. As we come near the end of this meditation, I invite you to take one last deep breath in, the biggest, deepest breath you've taken in all day. And releasing. Perhaps it feels good to ride through that ebb and flow of one more breath. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, all of you, for being here. Thank you for taking the time to reconsider what is going on in your own life. How is this playing out? What are the emotions? What are the thoughts that are going through your head, right? I think a lot has been going on for a lot of people in October and November. A lot of emotions, a lot of connections, a lot of different things that have been coming together, and it can just be overwhelming. Whether it feels positive, negative, or indifferent, it can just feel like a whole lot. So in that space, now we have a retrograde, and now we have Mercury saying, okay, you can slow down, you can recalibrate, you can reconsider. Jupiter at the same time, the teacher sits down with you, right? It's like we start to reformulate a plan, we start to re-strategize, and then the teacher sits down and says, okay, I'm going to work through the framework of this project with you. I'm going to help you lay down the foundations. We're going to sit together. We're going to move through this together here. So cool space this week. Let's see, what comes up for all of us, and then we will come back together next week. Next Friday, you can look for the invitation. Saturday, video will be out, and then we'll meet here Sunday. So thank you. Looking in the comments here. Okay, Melissa's saying that YouTube was cutting out. Facebook and YouTube is where we are. I don't know. Every once in a while, one of them will mess up, so there's always the other one. We're also on Instagram as well. I don't advertise that quite as heavily, but yeah. So Facebook, Instagram, and then YouTube is the main space. So yeah, hopefully this has worked out really well for most people, and there hasn't been too much sound cutting out or anything like that. I'm not the biggest tech person, but I try my best to keep things pretty much even keel and at bay here. So yeah, thank you. And the Four of Needles, Four of Swords. Slow down, rest. Remember, it was reverse. So really a big message of slow down. Don't move too fast. Mercury and Mars have the ability to move really fast, and maybe even almost like to the point of like accidents happen, right? So just take your time and yeah, see where the reconsideration invitation is for you. So yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't already looked at the weekly video, you can find that. That was released yesterday on YouTube. And yeah, have a good week, everybody. Take care and bye now.